You're watching The Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Oh, hello. Sorry we were eating.
Well, that was quick.
Welcome to my third show.
This is Sketch Up with Mog and Mel on The Experience. Thanks again for sharing your Thursday evening with our special guest. His name is Phillip Ginn.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a book that he's publishing himself, printing it out. He's not going through the regular campaign tracks that everybody else is doing, but he's just printing this on his own, right? So I guess he's got the money, not like everybody else who's trying to get the money to produce their book. So we're going to bring him in. Now, you may see me eating, and that's because it is dinner, and we got a late start today. But I have spicy Thai fish.
Mm-hmm.
I just had some baked potato skins. I got the recipe from TGI Fridays. If you guys remember that, I used to love going there for their potato skins when they first came out with those. So I made some of those, and those are gone. And I'm finishing up the Thai spicy fish with some shrimp bites.
It's actually sheep. It's a fish called sheephead.
Yeah, sheephead. I know it's called steelhead. The steelhead.
Sheephead.
All right, yeah. So it's a sheephead fish. Nice, really strong, sturdy fish. Usually buy it in whole and then chop it up in the States. I mean, it's too big to cook in a frying pan.
Yes.
But enough of that.
Yes. Mistake. Hello.
Hello.
Phil. Do we call you Phil or Philip?
Either one. I didn't know we could drink.
Oh, sorry.
No.
We're drinking alcohol. No, just kidding.
Well,
it's grape juice. No.
Grape juice. Well, I have tea. I guess that counts. It's non-alcoholic tea.
So, Phil, where are you located?
I'm currently in my apartment in Oakland.
In Oakland, okay. Now, have you been into comics for a long time, or are you just you're fairly new to the industry? You don't have that much work out there.
Yeah.
I think you've produced stuff in like the last about 3 years or so.
In terms of output, I was putting out a lot of shorts back in like the mid to, I would say the mid 2000s, late 2000s, from like around 2006, 7, 8. I guess we're still early in 2000. So between like 2004 and 5 to 2009, I should say. I don't know why I said early or late, but I stopped drawing for like 6 years because I used to work for Tower, and they went bankrupt. So
what's a Tower?
Tower Records.
Oh,
Tower Records. Yeah. I used to work for their website, and they went bankrupt, and I was mostly doing comics around from post high school through college, and then when I entered the workforce, I would do comics on my own. And back then, there wasn't like web comics were kind of new. So when I was putting out comics, it was mostly like shorts. I put out 2 full issues of what was supposed to be a long form comic that would eventually be a graphic novel, but I never finished it. And then I stopped drawing for, I would say, 6 years, around 2008 or 2009. And then I came back, mostly for comic conventions and to sell art. And before that, I was
why did you start
doing comics?
What made you draw in the first place?
Because I could.
Really?
When I was a kid, I enjoyed it. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a comic strip artist. I wanted to be Charles Schultz.
Oh.
So, yeah, I wanted to be in the newspapers, and I wanted to. I just wanted my own comic strip. And so when I discovered comic books, I switched from comic strips to comic books.
Mhm.
But how old were you when you discovered comic book?
When I discovered
school?
comic books, I discovered my dad's old comics. He had a stash of old comics in a box in the garage, and they were still readable and falling apart. And I devoured those.
What books were those?
Oh God, we're talking like 60s, 70s Flash, Superman.
Oh,
Some of the
the classic stuff.
yeah, there was no
Silver
Elseworld.
Age and bronze, coming into bronze.
I would say, yeah, and there were no Elseworlds back then with DC,
Yeah.
but it did do like the imaginary stories, like what if Superman lost his powers? What if
Yeah.
Robin died, that sort of thing. So I read a bunch of that
Mhm.
stuff. And then I started collecting comics around the time that Tim Burton's '89 Batman movie came out. My
Okay,
friend
that's in
started collecting comics, and then he got
that's in
me
the
into
late
comics.
80s.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, Phil, like you weren't good in sports. Is that why? Just kidding.
Wow.
Sorry.
I was I played soccer. I played recreational soccer in a rec league, and I was into martial arts. So that's
What?
about as athletic as I get, is martial arts and soccer.
What kind of martial arts were you into?
Well, my mom signed me up for Taekwondo, thinking that I think she thought that it was pretty much karate.
Mhm.
More recently, I was when was 2014? That was eight 8 years ago, 9 years ago now.
Uh-huh.
I finally had enough money to start learning kung fu, so I took up Wing Chun. And at the same school, I learned a little bit of Bak Mei and Tai Chi, and a second system of Wing Chun.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I came off of watching the Bruce Lee movies and stuff, and that's what got me motivated into martial arts too. I actually took it earlier. Well, I think I was like about 10 at that time. My parents enrolled me. I was living on a military base at the time, and I didn't get into it, right? But then when Bruce Lee came in, and I was about like 14, I was just in high school. Some friends of mine were in the club, so I went with them, and it was a Japanese military karate that was called Ken, taught by this ex-military guy. And I was there for about like 2 years. I tried kung fu. I didn't like it too much. I ended up in taekwondo for 5 years. So
It's like reverse Phil.
yeah,
He ended up choosing kung fu, and you ended up choosing taekwondo.
yeah, I like the taekwondo because it's a little more direct, and yeah, so I like the approach to that and stuff. And the kung fu was taught by one of my teachers. I'll have to tell you some of the stories there, but he was one that would advise. He taught this class etiquettes in high school, right? And one of the things he taught us like about dating.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, this guy.
What?
So
Wait. His name. What was his name? His name was freaking
I don't want
awesome.
to say it on here, okay?
Oh,
But he was advising that you take a girl out for the very first time. You be nice, you be respectful, right? Okay, makes sense. Okay. Second night, okay, yeah, don't expect anything. Hey, if you get a kiss, that's good. Okay. By the third night, the girls they better put out because by that time you've spent enough money,
Wait, how old were
more
you?
than enough to get a hooker on your own. So
And how old were you?
he was telling this in front of class, and there were girls in the class.
Oh my God.
It was kind of hard, but anyway, that was my kung fu teacher.
how old were you? How old
I
were
think I
you?
was about
14?
16 at the time.
16?
Yeah.
Mm.
But so anyway, let's get back on the
Okay,
on the
that
topic
sounds
here.
like a horrible class.
Well, it was a fun class, but but anyway, so reading through your dad's comics, right? Was there a story or in there that you remember that you were fond of that you really liked that grabbed you, or you just enjoyed the fact that it was allowed you this escapism?
I read a bunch over and over. I was mostly enamored by the art because I realized that the stories were kind of silly, but they were fun to read at the same time. And actually, the one story that does stick out, because this was a long time ago. This was like, I want to say this was even middle school, but one story that does stick out was when the one of the imaginary stories where Superman lost his powers, and he donned a new costume and called himself Nova. And because he couldn't fly, he had these like glider things on his costume. And I remember he would punch a guy. He would punch a guy, and he got made fun of for being weak because Superman was used to pulling his punches. So I that story kind of sticks with me because I thought that was interesting, and the art was good. And it actually, in a lot of those comics, I was introduced to. I mean, those comics are probably like disintegrated or eaten by rats by this point, but I've always wanted to revisit them because I loved them so much. I got to see like the comics that John Buscema and Carmen Infantino drew in his collection. So, I mean, I didn't know how I knew those names, but I didn't know how big of a deal they were until I started nerding out.
Those are two big names. Carmen is still around. Big John is gone, but I love Big John's pencils. Just seeing it raw before they got inked and colored was fantastic. I loved his how he drew, especially in the fantasy where we were doing like Conan and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now you got into comics that way. And at what point did you decide that you wanted to do a comic of your own?
I think he said after he read the.
Did you, Phil? Did you hear me?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about when when I decided that I wanted to start drawing comics because there's
Do
kind
you
of
enjoy writing or drawing more?
Well,
See, he said as a kid because of Charles Schultz. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Well, the comic strips actually kind of informed that. So for me, it was kind of a progression and an overlap because I was reading my dad's comics for fun, and I was still drawing cartoons. And then the Batman movie came out, and there's Batman merchandise everywhere, and I tried to copy like my dad's Batman T-shirt. I'm pretty sure it was like a Jim Aparo Batman.
Yeah.
And then when my friend got me into collecting modern comics, this was around the time when Armageddon 2000, the big crossover at DC came out.
Yeah.
And spoilers, Hawk and Dove. And and I, I kind of switched from drawing comic strips to comic books, but wanting to draw comic strips made me want to write and draw my own stuff. And then when I was collecting comics and looking at the credits, and I realized how there was usually a team of artists that worked on it. There was the writer, then you've got a penciler, an inker, and a colorist. I knew right away that I wanted to ink my own stuff. So that was number one. And then wanting to write, that had always wanted to be there. I think every kid wants to make their own comics. But at some point, they decide they just want to be an artist or a writer, and I've always done both. I like writing prose as well. And if I had to choose, I don't know writing is easier. I can sit down and write, and I can write pretty quickly. Drawing takes a really long time. And so.
So were your dad's old comics mostly superheroes, or were there other genres in the box? This is a question from Stevie B.
My dad's comics are, I would say, mostly superheroes. There's some Sergeant Rock in there, so there's some war comics.
Yeah, I actually like the war stuff, because during that time that was like a popular genre, right? I loved watching like Rat Patrol. Stuff like that was on television as well. So to read that in the comics, like Ghost Tank and Sergeant Rock and stuff like that was really, I thought was really, really cool. I did enjoy the superhero stuff still too, but I did enjoy those.
I don't. Yeah. I don't. I didn't really get into the war stuff. I flipped through the books, but my dad was in the military. He was in a MASH unit, and you know, superheroes were kind of newish to me, so I think I gravitated towards that a little bit more.
Mm. So now you've got your own book. This is one that you've done on your own, I believe, because everything else you've done before this was for somebody else's book or in collaboration. But this one is all you. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the when I started doing conventions, and um, I'd always wanted I always wanted to work on books, but I knew to make money. I think I put art and illustration, doing posters and prints first. I did put together a collection of short stories that I did, comic short stories. So I self-published that. I did a really small run, didn't cost me too much. It was a 40-page book. And then I did a couple collaborations. I put out Wrong Magnetic Poles with Dave Law, Chris Calzia, and Dylan Rickards. And then I inked and colored Wolf Punks. Dave Law pencil did the special effects and lettering, and that's written by Garrett Benningfield.
Okay.
And I have a bunch of stories on reserve that I always mean to draw, and I've been looking for a comic, but I had an idea for a picture book, an all ages horror book. And so that's what Stalker Snatch is. And actually, I just put in an order for a full run yesterday. I got my proofs in, and they look really good. So I'm actually really excited to have that come out.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the book that you have coming out now. That's called Stalker Snatch.
Yeah. So that is a black and white. That's a black and white all ages horror story, and it's about the perils of becoming the things that we hate.
Wow.
Yeah. I I don't know if I'll ever do this again. I wrote the entire thing in 3-line rhyming verse. So basically, it's just one long poem, like A Nightmare Before Christmas, or you know, an entire what's that Lighthouse in the Attic book or something? Shel Silverstein, basically a full book of that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, you got it up. So I don't know if I'll ever do that again, because that's hard. It was a very oddly metered 5-line stanza poem at one point, and I booked a consultation with the former art director, and he was pointing out that it was a little complex to read, but it was fun, and if I were to pare it down a little bit, it'd be easier to read. And so I did that, and I think it flows much better. It's still a little odd, and I'm just glad I finished drawing it. I literally finished the last spread that I had to draw on New Year's Eve.
That's a nice page.
Yeah, that's a nice page.
Okay. So are you professionally trained?
No, I'm self-taught.
Oh, in art and writing.
Yeah, I mean, except for like the art classes you take in high school and the writing classes you take in high school, I'm self-taught. I've taken a course here and there, because I know that there are certain gaps I have in my art education, but I'm mainly self-taught.
Okay. And who are your favorite artists? Who do you like?
I knew you were going to do that to me, Mel.
Thanks.
Yeah,
actually, we've had 3 shows, and you're the first one that I've asked that question.
All right, fine. I'll entertain the question. So, my favorite artists in comics, it's really hard for me to play favorites, because I view basically all artists as just they're different. They're different for a reason and their own voice. So, but I would say that in terms of like personal affinity, Frank Miller and Hiroaki Sumura are make the top of the list. I love Jeff Smith. The very first modern comic book artist that I made it a point to memorize his name and follow his work was Norm Brayfogle when he was doing Batman.
Okay.
I loved his stuff. It was a great mix of cartoony, but a stylized, it had a stylized, realistic structure, and it was so kinetic and really well designed. He was, people talk about, who's your doctor when it comes to Doctor Who, and it's usually like the first Doctor that you really get into when you're watching Doctor Who. I would say that Norm Brayfogle was my first Batman artist.
Yeah, he had his art had like energy in it, and it was good to see, and you could like feel it and watch it.
Oh yeah,
I think that's what attracted me to his style. Things were like always seemed like they were like moving.
Yeah, when I think of Batman, he's one of the guys that I think of. In middle school, when I was learning how to draw superheroes, I had a classmate tell me that I need to. When I was trying to draw Spider-Man, he kept telling me I need to draw more like Todd McFarlane because I was drawing Spider-Man wrong, and Todd McFarlane became like a big guy for me back in the 90s, right before he did Spawn.
Okay.
In terms of I guess newer guys, I really like I think you pronounce it Matteo Scalera.
Scalera. Okay, Scalera. Yeah. Okay.
He's really I love looking at his stuff. I love Sergio Topi. He makes the top of the list as well, mostly for his illustrative style. And of course, Moebius. I've been really into non-comic illustrators lately as well. I'd say like people are really influential to me. I would say Tyrus Wong is really influential to me. I think it's Izumi Kogahara. She's a painter.
Okay.
She's, color was always hard for me because I always thought that I was a black and white artist, and then I had to start, actually incorporating color into my work. And so it was always really hard to find painters that I guess whose color sense I actually really identified with. And her color sense, she does these realistically structured figure drawings with abstract use of color, and it's beautiful stuff. Yuko Shimizu is an illustrator that I really like. Line Decker over Rockwell, by the way.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Is it because Leyendecker is, by the way, for those who don't know, Leyendecker is he's like you would say the golden illustration era, like
I think so, yeah.
early 1900s.
I think so.
That's like golden age.
He's the one who actually, guys, coined the image. He designed the image for Santa Claus, so that's how he became.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did the "I Want You" poster with the Uncle Sam.
I think that was him.
So for those who don't know, Leyendecker is that big. So
yeah, and I mean, obviously Rockwell, obviously, one of the greats, but Leyendecker over Rockwell, I would say, mostly because of his design sense and the stylization. You can tell that there's a good structure underneath, like Rockwell. Was Leyendecker Rockwell's mentor, or was it the other way around?
No, actually, they were all about the same time.
Okay. I think somebody else.
But Leyendecker was, I would say, Leyendecker was more of a better draftsman. He actually liked drawing better, and I think that's why his painting became unique, because he painted like he drew. So there's a lot of line hatching work that he was unique, and his draftsmanship was super tight.
You know what? That's a good point. I would say that you can see the drawing in his paintings, and being somebody who is more of a drawer, that's I actually really appreciate that.
Okay. Now, can you give us a little bit more about like what your book is about?
Yeah. Give us like a really nice
Yeah, just give us like a little taste. You don't have- don't-
bone chilling
with-
story.
without giving it away.
Without
It's
giving
gonna
away.
be, it's
Okay.
gonna be like, okay.
So I gave you the moral of the story, but in terms of plot, the Stalker Snatch is about four very different kids that decide to do something about the monster that has been stealing kids. The most uncreative part about this book is the title, because the Stalker Snatch literally stalks and snatches kids.
Oh,
So
I think
yeah.
the name is actually kind of catchy. You know, it's.
I thought it was like some guy was obsessed with the girl and
No,
then
it-
took
it-
her.
You know,
No, I didn't go there.
simple
Not,
as,
not
like,
for an all
the
ages story.
children are missing, you know,
Um,
or the missing children.
yeah. So
Okay.
they basically go and they want to put an end to the monster. They and you know, and to find their missing children. And of course, you know, there's a moral of the story. So you know,
Yeah.
it's not really a spoiler to say that the heroes prevail, but
Right.
but the way that I'm actually really happy with it's not. I would say that it's a twist, but
Mhm.
you know, it's a picture book. It's very simple. I'm actually really happy with the way that I have uh, the moral come out
Okay.
in the book.
Now, is this one complete story?
Yeah,
Okay. Now,
yeah.
how many pages are in the book?
It's a not including cover. It's a 40-page book, and I think
Okay.
it's 37 pages of story.
Okay. And how much is it?
Normally 25.
Mhm.
If you pre-order it, it's 20.
And
And
how long is that good for?
till February 11:59, February 23rd, because I'm taking the books with me. My first convention this year is going to be in Atlanta, the Atlantic Comic Convention.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the books with me, and so technically I'm debuting the book there.
Okay.
And so the price is going to go back up to 25.
All right. You heard that, guys.
yeah.
You want to get this book, 37 pages of story for $20. That's a damn good deal.
Yes.
And you can get that now. You have until tomorrow to place
Mhm.
that order. So I suggest that you do that
Mm-hmm.
and
Take
find out what this
take
is
the
about.
pre-orders till the 23rd. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And JD is
Wait.
saying sounds like a Dr. Seuss character. And it's so if you're into,
Is it leap year 23?
I'm not sure, but if you're into, what's his name? Who's the guy that did
Who did what?
Nightmare?
Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah.
Tim Burton?
Tim Burton. If you're into Tim Burton, those kinds of stories, that's what this sounds like kind of is. And you can pick this up and find out what's going on
Yeah.
with these children.
Anyway,
yeah.
going back to oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, going back to some of the comments. Yeah, like I'm actually glad JD pointed out. Actually, it was the reason why Santa Claus was designed was because of Coca-Cola was commissioning Leyendecker.
Yeah.
And I think Stevie said, I think he said Leyendecker actually preceded Rockwell.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because
Mm.
Rockwell went into the 30s, and
That's what I thought. I watched
Leyendecker was in the early 1900s.
Actually, I thought they were around the same time. But what Leyendecker did was he really like was more into the fashion, and then Rockwell just steadily was the Saturday Evening Post.
Yeah, Saturday Evening Post.
Yeah.
He was more into. It seemed like he was more into like telling about the story of like how we are as a people, because he captured those moments. That was us.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Leyendecker was doing high fashion and
Yeah.
like an idealized dream, like I want to be like that. And Norman Rockwell was doing like everyday human stuff.
Yeah,
and then
right.
what's interesting that happened was because I was reading about his work. I have a book of Norman Rockwell and I was reading it. And there's a break in the next few minutes, but okay. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, before we go to break, you take note that both our artists, Phillip and Mog, are working on art pieces right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do
So
want
hard
to
to draw
bid on
top.
those, The starting bid is $100. You can see that Philip is working on a Catwoman, and Mog is working on a She Punisher. Right, so we will accept opening bids of $100 on those. If you are in California, we will have to charge you tax, and shipping is $15. And on that note, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Philip and find out more of what he's into. Okay, we'll be right back.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
You just finished the last episode of your favorite new show, and you just have to talk about it. But all your friends are ghosting you because of that incident last week at the buffet. Oh, you know the one. What you did to that chowder. Ugh. Keeps me up at night. So what do? Join writer Dan Wickline as he breaks down all your favorite pop culture media. Whether it's a review of the latest nerdy TV show or a dive back into the history of your favorite comic characters, Dan's ready to discuss all the hottest topics live. Join the conversation as Dan live streams Tuesday through Thursday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. The Dan Wickline Show on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Go follow The Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
Welcome back to Sketch Up on The Experience.
Hello, everyone.
We're here with Phillip Ginn. And,
is it pronounced Gin?
Is it
It's
Gin
Gin.
or Gin?
It's Gin.
Okay.
Gin. Okay.
It's Gin.
That
I
makes
blame
it easy.
my mother for
Pressure go
having it
back.
being pronounced wrong. Apparently she's with. So my original last name is not Gin.
What's that?
No, when my grandfather immigrated, his papers they gave him the last name Yi, but so technically I was born Philip Yi. My family last name is Jin, but when my dad changed, the story is, and I'm not trying to out my mother here because this comes from my sister. I should ask my mother about this, but apparently she liked the way it looked better spelled with 2 N's. So when my dad changed our last name and the family name, that's how he spelled it legally. That again, that's according to my sister. But as a result of that, people say Ginn because that's how you would normally. When you're looking at Greg Ginn or the Ginn books from kindergarten, you pronounce it Ginn. Gin is pronounced Gin with 1 N. So.
Okay. Let's go. I'm going to go to some of the comments here. Steve B writes, Rockwell obviously had a better PR because he has a museum of his work, and I'm not sure Leyendecker does. There's a Frank Frazetta museum I would like to visit one day. I'd like to visit that museum myself. Constantly, I follow the Frazetta museum, so I see the postings along with the Frazetta girls, because that is one artist that or at least one artist whose work I like to see. And we've done Mark has done swipes of Frazetta that for study purposes as well. I want to say hi to everybody that's here. Thank you again for joining us on a Thursday night.
Thank you so much, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Helping pump our numbers up. If you can share this out, please, please, please. That'll
Yes.
help us out a lot.
Thank you.
And if you want to donate money, we can talk about that later. I'll tell you you can send that. Okay. Once again, Philip and Mog are working on their art pieces. Philip's got a Catwoman on there, and Mog's working on a She Punisher who's showing some bow tie.
Bow tie.
And both pieces are looking for an opening bid of $100. If anybody wants to.
Wait, is it also a backside too of Catwoman?
Yeah. Yes. I wanted to fit in with Mog.
Okay, so
Yes.
So I do some booty.
all
So
right,
it's a booty call.
So now you can say that they're going back to back.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Good one.
Back it up. Back it up. Back it up. We're looking for you guys to back it up with
I could probably zoom in a little bit better.
Okay.
But
show Philip some love there.
This is just like a little side story of Leyendecker. He was actually very well paid. He was extremely he was so well paid that he bought this mansion, and he used he and his partner, he was a model that he liked to use. They loved each other, so they stayed together. But you call it like hush hush secret that you don't tell that you're maybe so but the thing is, so they would have lavish party. It was like always the talk of the town. Like he would, they were just very lavish. So don't worry, he did well. But unfortunately, by the advent of technology and the advent of the taste, where the more photographs was replacing the fashion design magazines, he got kind of like pushed out. And then it said that he actually spent all day, him and his partner spent all day just maintaining and cleaning the mansion because he couldn't even afford servants anymore by that time. Yeah.
Okay. And just to put this out there, that JD, who's actually kind of like managing the show in the background there, is willing to accept tips as well.
For JD.
Yeah. So if you want to send him some
Come
money,
on.
both he and I are accepting. Okay. So Phil, is Batman your favorite character?
I'd say that he's probably my top DC character. That, and I've always liked the Flash, but I've not read a lot of Flash comics. I just like the character. On the Marvel side, I would say it's probably Spider-Man and Daredevil.
Okay. So are you more of a Marvel fan or a DC? Sounds like you're DC.
I never did that. I read both because they both had cool comics. And it's like I never understood the debate between why did I have to choose between Star Wars and Star Trek? I want to watch both. So I
agree with you. I don't prefer one or the other. I do like both, but my preference does go with Marvel. Star Trek and Star Wars, I like them both. Equally, so I don't have a problem with that. Stevie B. Let me see what he say on there. Yeah, he writes no ifs and or buts on this show tonight. Yeah, you got that right. It's all but. Call it as you see it, dude. What is your favorite Batman story? Do you have one?
He has too many things he likes. He's like going through the category in his head.
When you come on this show, you got to be prepared.
We have to then give them questions.
Well, I always like to tell people I can't play favorites. Okay. I love Batman the Killing Joke. I know that Alan Moore doesn't, but I do.
Yeah.
So that's a good story. The art's great.
I love the art, but to me that is my favorite Batman story.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have others that I do like, but that is at the top of my list. I got that book when it came out. I did too. I went to Golden Apple here in Los Angeles, saw Frank Miller, and I had him sign a few copies of that. Not Frank Miller. I'm sorry. That's about Ronin. That's Ronin. Never mind. But I did do that for Batman Returns. But The Killing Joke just grabbed me, right? Because I'm reading this story and I'm loving the art as I'm reading it. And I'm going, where is this kind of like going? I can hear the banter that's going on like between them, and it's very deep, and there's a psychological thing that's going on that you don't normally see between the two characters, and you get to the end and you realize like what's going on, and it just hits me. So, oh my God, that was a great way in telling that story about these two characters who are practically the same coin.
Two sides of the same coin.
Two different sides. So yeah, the
Like
same
like
coin.
Mog and Mel, the same glass.
Oh yeah.
Let's not bring that
We
up.
were talking about what are you? Are you a half full or half empty?
I'm neither, because a glass that has content in it is both half full and half empty at the same time. So
I have the first 7 printings of that book too. I didn't know it went all the way up to a 14th printing.
of The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
And actually, I have more Batman stories that I love, but I found out because one of my friends had never read it, so I was looking through it, and apparently Brian Boland recolored it.
Yeah.
And so I looked through those images, and I love Brian Boland, but
I love Brian Boland too.
Brian Boland's colors make the book look very noir, and the original colors, John. It's killing me that I can't remember his name. John something.
Was it Ostrander?
No, it'll come to me later.
Okay.
I know that. I know it will.
I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right. Werupinstein says I'll start both. What if you can be more clear on that? Are you trying to bid $100 on both? Is that it? If you could make that more clear for us, thank you. Okay. Yeah. So going back to that Batman thing.
Yeah.
I think it's John Bolton, wasn't it?
Yeah, John Bolton.
Okay. Oh, he had the same thing. Werpenstein.
I think that sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah, I was thinking.
It's funny because we both have the internet in front of us, but we're.
I know we're not. No, we're busy. We're busy
we're
working
busy.
right now. Okay, except for this guy, you should.
Okay, we do have that. We have a bit on
So, but the original colors for The Killing Joke weren't noir. It was very surreal, and that's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
Colors. I'm very opinionated about colors. Don't get me started. I love The Dark Knight Returns. I read that a little later.
Mm-hmm.
I read that, I think, because I probably read The Killing Joke back when I was at an age where I shouldn't have read it, but I did anyway because it was a Batman story. And my friend had it. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna read this. This is a cool looking Joker. Yeah. So Dark Knight Returns is something that I revisit regularly. Batman Year One. I saw in the comments somebody loved Batman Year One. That is a great. That is a great book.
Right.
And just out of curiosity, I decided to watch the animated version of Year One, and I don't think stuff like that needs to be made. It wasn't that good.
Okay, yeah, we don't have to say anything further about that, because I do agree with you on that. That had one of the covers was by McFarlane there, which has been there was also a homage cover made to that by Phillip Ginn not too long ago as well. But yeah, so that's another like great story. But to me, the top two Batman stories is the Dark Knight Returns and the Killing Joke.
Yeah,
and I did like Frank Miller's style in that. I was a big fan of his already from Daredevil.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like followed him along. He did Ronin after that, which I didn't appreciate it as much then, but I do now. And if you can I'm kind of glad that he's kind of like went back to that, and he has the new Ronin story that's picking up right where that practically left off, and that book is being drawn by a good friend of mine, Phillip Ginn again, who is doing the artwork for that.
Yeah,
so it's great to see.
I've seen the previews. Phillip Ginn can draw.
Yeah, yeah,
really well.
yeah. Well, he's had some good teachers, and yeah, he's had some. He's also had a good break that he got picked up early in his career by Todd McFarlane, and so been
Yeah,
stayed
and I
on him
remember
for a
when Todd
while.
McFarlane did Batman Year Two,
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting, and he was able to ink himself on the second through fourth parts, and it it's actually really cool seeing him or getting to see like his formative years because he
mhm,
wasn't too noodly and he still had that graphic design thing in him, and
yeah.
the cape made no actual drapery
Oh
sense, but it looked
yeah,
cool. It's just a bunch of triangles. Um, and actually I started collecting around that time was cool because Batman Year One had been out already. Then we got Batman Year Two, and Batman Year Three is when we got the third Robin.
yeah,
So that whole thing with Death in the Family, and then Batman Year Three and Tim Drake's training, that was when I was starting to like collect comics on the regular, and that was a fun time.
yeah. Yeah, to me that was a fun time in the '80s. There was a lot of good things coming out that were just really cool to see. You had that. You had Todd McFarlane. Later on, Jim Lee, who was doing came on, started doing the Punisher, and then to the X-Men, you have Rob Liefeld, who came out of that era as well. Um, yeah, so that the '80s was a good time when comics was starting to like pick up. And then
Yeah,
when the '90s came, it just exploded. You know, that's when Image came into the scene. Yeah, so and that's a time that um, I was kind of like I was working full time as an IT person. I had a really good job, but then I started doing this on the side, you know, and man, it was just too exciting to let go. So I quit my full time job and ended up getting into the industry. And all up to that time, I was just collecting and reading. But
Yes.
yeah,
okay,
it was a
so
fun time.
mhm. All right, so we do have $100 bid on each of the
Mm-hmm.
artworks here. Philip is doing Catwoman, and Mog is doing the She Punisher.
Yeah, I am lovingly stroking her buttocks. Her
Yeah,
buttocks are like on fire because like
she's
there's like
trying. She's
a
trying
orange
to.
and red underneath that's like a light up, like they say you light up your can we say ass? No, light up your okay, but something like that.
Hey, Stevie, I've never read that. I've heard about it, but I've never been able to get my hands on it. Have you? Let me know what you think about that.
Frank Miller's what?
Holy
Oh,
Terror.
Holy Terror. I have that.
Oh, you do?
Yes. So Holy Terror was originally supposed to be a Batman story.
Right.
And it was Frank Miller's foray into propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
It was post 9/11, and he felt very strongly about it. And that's when he kind of changed the story around a little bit. And I don't know why he switched. I'm assuming that his story probably they didn't they didn't want. I'm just going to assume that DC didn't want something too propaganda-ish, so he changed it into Holy Terror, which is a really interesting book because it's done in a mix of Dark Knight 2, Sin City, and his kind of like old style of like really quick rendering. It's a mess of a book. It's actually really cool looking, but it's interesting and it's definitely propaganda. Like
Okay.
he still he in Frank Miller's hands because he writes very romantically.
Mm-hmm.
The propaganda is very odd, but
Is it
it's a cool
is it a
looking book.
fast read?
It's a cool looking book though.
Okay.
I would
If
get
you
it.
don't mind, bring that with you when you come down to WonderCon, and I can read that while I'm working behind the table.
Okay, I'll try to remember.
Yeah. Okay. And on that note, once again, we have an opening bid on both these pieces at $100. But you can go ahead and place a bid.
There's a bit that's already 100.
They're both at 100.
Okay.
Okay. you can go ahead and place a bid. We are taking bids of increments of 5, so that we will accept bids of 105 and higher.
So let me ask the viewers: should I ink this or just leave it as pencil?
I'm kind of enjoying the pencils myself. Okay, while they go ahead and ponder that question, we do have to take another break right now. Unfortunately, we do have sponsors to take care of it and whatnot. So once again, we'll be right back on SketchUp. You're watching it on The Experience.
Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for 2 very important reasons: to sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP.
Hi, I'm Tom Zoller. I'm here at New York Comic Con. I do a book called Love and Capes. There's a new issue that's going to be coming out soon, Home for the Holidays. That'll be on Kickstarter. I also work on this obscure art house book called My Little Pony. Perhaps you've heard of it. And I do a bunch of romantic comedies. I'm so glad to see you, and you're watching this here on The Experience.
Welcome back to SketchUp. You're watching the show on The Experience. Everybody give say hello to Nick Barucci. He's we're honored to have him here tonight to drop by. If you don't know, Nick has a good show on Friday nights, Friday afternoons, actually 4:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where he gives you a chance to buy some incredible artwork at ridiculous prices. If you haven't checked that out, you should. If you're into art. Hello, Lyle. Good to have you here. Okay. Once again, we have a standing bid on these 2 pieces, the Sheep Punisher and Catwoman blank cover sketch there. They're at $100 each. We are accepting bids of in $5 increments. Okay, that does not include tax and shipping where applicable. All right, so somebody, I think it was Stevie that asked, like, who wanted to know, like, who is your favorite actor to portray Batman?
Oh. You know, for me, it's Michael Keaton.
So what's with all the hard questions? I have
who's your favorite actor to play Batman?
that played Black Batman.
Yeah, that played.
I have an affinity for Michael Keaton because he played both roles very well.
Yes.
I would say that in terms of like more extreme dual personality, Christian Bale is the guy. We won't talk about Val Kilmer or George Clooney. Kevin Conroy, somebody's mentioned Kevin Conroy. That dude is always going to be Batman.
Really?
Yeah. Kevin Conroy? Oh, yeah. It's so hard to... It doesn't help that... it's unfair because I grew up with him also, but Anytime I hear somebody else do Batman's voice in an animated anything, it's weird, and it's not as subtle or nuanced. I mean, all due respect to the people playing Batman in the animated, stuff, but Kevin Conroy just did a perfect job of doing both Bruce Wayne and Batman, even when uh, Bruce Timm changed the tone of his era of
Batman, yeah.
DC animation. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. For me, I'm an old timer, and I loved watching the Batman television series with Adam West. So that's the
So did
guy
I.
for me. The quirkiness that was in that show and the things that they did, it was just fun being like a 8, 9 year old watching the show and just loving it. That there's these guys that have these cool costumes and jump into this cool car and drive away and get the bad guys, and it was just, yeah, like I like the guy that played Joker in that series. I love Julie, who played the Catwoman. Even out of the 3 different Catwomans they had,
Oh yeah.
Rose was the one that I liked the most.
Okay.
But yeah.
Catwoman, huh?
Mhm.
What about you, Phil? Like, who played the best? Who do you like, Catwoman actress wise?
I actually thought that is it Zoe Kravitz. I thought she did a pretty good job.
In the last one.
In the last one, and actually Robert Pattinson did a decent Batman, and this was not his fault. The writers and their emo Batman,
Mhm.
they that's I didn't. We don't need emo Bruce Wayne, but he did a decent Batman. But yeah, actually I also kind of liked Anne Hathaway, but Michelle Pfeiffer I think did the best cat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely, she definitely
Michelle.
did the best cat category.
Yes.
And that's correct, JD. It was Cesar Romero who I thought that was like a perfect match for Joker for that style of a Joker during that time.
Yeah.
I
I
thought it
was
really
going to say
captured
Cesar
it.
Romero, but for some reason in my head, I was getting Cesar Romero and Sid Caesar mixed up, which is not cool. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, so we covered Batman there. Okay, so now let's talk about your writing here. We talked a lot about art, but now let's still to go on the other side, and which is the writing.
Okay.
Who are you influenced by in your for your writing style?
For comics, Frank
Or
Miller.
outside of comics, because
Okay.
it's hard
Yeah.
not to
Well,
include the others.
early on it was Charles Schultz, Bill Watterson, and I modeled my prose writing after Stephen King.
I love Stephen
Interesting.
King.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
he's really good. In comics, Frank Miller is definitely like a big one. Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, all the
Okay, all the big writers.
For me, I like
trying to think
the
of
guy who did Hellboy
Michael
as a
Mann.
writer. I like him as a writer too.
trying to think of who else I've got. I don't want to leave the camera. I kind of want to go look at my collection, but I appreciate writers that really, in terms of comics, I really appreciate writers that take advantage of the comics oriented mechanics, and they're not just writing, thinking that whatever it is that they write can just be conveyed by, hopefully the artist will take care of it. And in a collaboration, yeah, you do depend on the artist, but I just kind of appreciate writers that are writing to take advantage of medium. In terms of prose, I recently read a book called The Great Passage. It's a Japanese book, and it's translated, and it's about the making of a dictionary. It's fiction. it's a beautifully written book. The Great Passage was written. I can look that up actually.
Mhm.
Is it like a modern book?
Yeah, it's a came out within the last 7 years.
So writing about the dictionary in Japan, I'm guessing, because it's
Yes. So it's
Okay.
about a publishing company and their small department where they take care of um, uh, creating a dictionary, which
yeah.
doesn't make a whole lot of money, but there are
Mm.
some very dedicated people, and one of the main characters is sort of this shy, nerdy guy, and it's also what the book is about. It's part love story, but what the book is really about is about dedication to one's craft, and so the author is Shion Miura, I believe, yeah,
Miura.
yeah,
Okay.
Shion Miura.
Okay.
It's a beautifully, and again it's translated, but it's just a beautiful book. Right now I'm reading the Great Beasts of China by Yang Ge. I believe, I don't know how to say her name, and that's a very interesting. That's an interesting book as well because it's translated from Chinese. Um, I I I just read an independent book by my friend Alice Johnson. She does the Chase and Daniels series, and her books are really fun to read. And Ian Markoff, I really like her writing style.
Mm.
Let's see, what other
What
things?
did she write?
She writes dark horror fantasy.
Okay.
She does the Deadbringer series.
Okay.
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 And I'm not saying that because I worked with her. I'm saying that because I wouldn't have worked with her if I
Uh-huh.
wasn't a fan. Let's put it that way. Like
Uh-huh. Okay.
her,
Gotcha.
her writing was what caught me in the first place, and the fact that I get to draw some stuff from her world was like a big thing for me because I was just going to do some fan art.
Okay.
Let's see.
Now, Stevie B asks us a question. He wants to know if you like Stephen King's son's writing, Joe Hill.
I have not read anything by Joe Hill, and I'll be super honest. It's real. I need to make more time to read because I don't read often enough. I feel like I'm illiterate these days. Like I just don't read enough.
Me too.
I know exactly how you feel
Yeah.
because I used to read a lot too. It's just hard
Mm.
to read now with the amount of things that we have to do.
Yeah, I have so many comics. I have so many comics that I've had over the years that
Yeah.
that I still have to read. I just don't.
Mm.
I've and I did like. I never got to finish the series either, but hold on one second.
Because I've read the Joe Hill stuff that I read is the ones that they put in the comics, which I actually was enjoying. So too bad that didn't carry through.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
yeah, but I'm like you, JD, that once I start reading a book, it's hard for me to put it down till I'm done. And it's like Mog. She was trying to get me to read Game of Thrones, right? And I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to read it. She kept bugging me, right? And it's 10 o'clock. I got to go to work. I have to get up like around 5 o'clock to go to work the next day. And so she tells me before I'm going to sleep, and she tells me just read the preface. If you don't like it, I won't bug you anymore about it. Okay? So I'm reading the book. I'm reading, right? And I look at the time, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going, holy crap, right?
Yeah.
I gotta go to work.
Mm.
And the thing is, at that time, I wasn't pissed off that she got me to read it and that I was actually enjoying it. I was pissed off that I had to leave to go to work and not be able to finish the book right then and there.
That That's a good book. Well, I've not read it, but like if a book can piss you off because you have to go somewhere and not and you can't finish it, that's a good book. I have yet to read Game of Thrones. I do like Tolkien. I've read The Hobbit a couple times, but I still haven't read like all of Lord of the Rings. That's on my to-do list. I have a set of books that I need to break into. I was thinking because I've been watching I've been trying to watch some like classic samurai movies.
Yeah.
And they did a series on the old Lone Wolf and Cub series.
Yeah.
Kazuo Koike. I've read his other comics outside of Lone Wolf and Cub. Lady Snowblood is really, really good, and Crying Freeman is really good.
Yeah.
And actually, I got to see him at a panel at San Diego Comic-Con one year, and I got photos of him, and it was can't remember much of what he said. But, it was so long ago, but it was really cool, like to hear him speak.
Right, so yeah, JD says the last time he had that happening to him like that, where he couldn't put a book down, was N.K. Jameson's The Fifth Seasons. We've read 100,000 Kingdoms, but I haven't gotten to that. But I've heard some good things about that, The Fifth Seasons. And she's a good writer.
Yes.
We do.
I like her writing style.
Yeah, we do like her a lot.
I'll need to check it out. I also love Roald Dahl.
Oh, I freaking love Roald Dahl, dude.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing stuff. I actually, when I was drawing my James and the Giant Peach piece, I reread James and the Giant Peach to make sure that like I was kind of on it and with the scene that I was drawing. And it's just as charming as I remember.
Yeah.
And I then decided to read The Twits, which is really short. It's like 70 pages, and that is also still a really, really good book.
Isn't that the twist? Isn't the twist story about this guy who started to be able to like telekinesis or telepath? Like he was a bad character, and then he discovered this meditation book, and then once he stumbled it in, and then he used his power to become really, really rich. And then something happened during the meditation process, or making tons of money. His character was really selfish and greedy, started to change. Is it that one? Because that's a really good story.
No, the Twits is definitely not that deep.
Oh,
it's about the most horrible husband and wife ever, and they pull horrible pranks on each other, and they have a cage of monkeys that they're trying to train, and a bird helps the monkeys escape. And in order to get back at the couple, they I hate spoilers, but
just tell me, please.
Since this book is really old, I don't know if you're ever going to read it, but let's just say that the monkeys and the if you plan on reading it, I won't tell you.
Okay.
Because it's the end joke is really, really funny.
Okay, don't tell me, because I love Roald Dahl, and I don't remember reading about this one. So
the book is let's just say that they get their due.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Stevie B writes, bathrooms are why God invented comics. And that might be a good reason to how to spend your time reading comics. But sorry, that's not something that I've done.
I do not read in the bathroom.
Clean, I want my pages white.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
not me.
Thank you. Yeah, I do not read I don't use my phone in the bathroom. I don't read in the bathroom. The bathroom.
For me, I get in there. I do my business. I'm not in there very long. I just drop it and go.
No, lately you start to change, right?
No, I still go in there. I drop it and go. I don't spend that much time in there, man. Werpenstein, he writes, I love the Lord of the Ring movies, and they are really close to the books, but the books are a real slow read for me. Yeah, they are kind of slow, but I do like it kind of like jumps around like here and there.
I think
But,
the way he
but
wrote
I did enjoy it.
the way Tolkien writes the book, his prose style is very long-winded, so I don't blame you for thinking that. And I agree with you in that part, Werpenstein. So yeah.
It's very biblical,
Yes.
Yeah.
unlike The Hobbit, which is a
It's
little bit
the
more whimsical.
yeah, and that's what we like, the whimsical style, but unfortunately
Well,
it's
I liked it.
very
I read
biblical.
those books. I think I was about, let's see, I think I was about like 14 or 15. And then by the time I got to my junior year in high school, I was taking a speed reading class. And it got to the point where the teacher said, okay, now you can go ahead and pick a book to read. Right. So I told him, I'm going to read Lord of the Rings. And she asked me, well, which one were you planning to do? I said, I want to read all four of them. Because if I'm speed reading through this, I should be able to finish them really quickly. It took me a week to read them, to read all four. Right? And then there's this thing that we had to do to show that we comprehended the book as we were reading. Okay, I didn't tell her that I had read it before,
Nice.
so my comprehension was a little bit higher because there's a lot of things in there at that time for somebody my age. I found was a little bit kind of like hard to follow. So reading it the second time actually helped a lot.
But they did this, speed reading was really hot, like it was like the best thing to do.
Yeah.
But after a recent study, they found out that it's just not a good skill to have at all. It's
I don't know.
useless.
I don't know. Some people did it. They did it really
Yeah,
well. They
but
remembered a
there's no
lot of
retention.
things.
There was no retention at
Well, that
all.
was one of the things is that the retention was good because comprehension was
No,
much higher
it was a
on
fluke.
the way how. And the testing that they did on it to show that retention and comprehension was high, backed it and proved it during that time.
Okay, but
Okay.
recent studies,
Mhm.
that's why nobody talks about it. They don't really use it.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
I've always wondered, or I thought
Okay.
maybe it must be too much focus, where people just couldn't like do it as much as they were back then. Yeah, talking about longer attention spans back then. Now we're so distracted. There's so many distractions that hit us from everywhere, and so it's hard to.
Well, luckily, I don't know if Phil, you're that type, but I'm the type that if I like something, I would just go zoom like all in it, and that's it, and I'll have to finish it to the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If it grabs me, for sure. Like it's been a while since a book's really done that. I did read the Harry Potter series, and that kind of did it for me. But they were easy to read, so you could get through this kind of fast.
Mm.
I read Ender's Game in almost a
Okay.
day.
Yeah.
Like I was planning on doing chores that day. I just sat on my bed and read that thing the entire day because it was written really, really,
Yeah.
really well.
All right. Well, going back to Stephen King, what are your favorite novels from him?
My first Stephen King novel was It, and I read that.
Oh no. That's
Yeah.
horrible.
Let me guess. Mog doesn't like clowns.
Oh, it's very bad. Very traumatic. Like,
I've been trying to read The Dark Tower, but I have like an older copy, and because I don't make time to read, I always forget that it's there, and then I start it and I stop again. I love what I've read so far. I just need to get through it. But my first Stephen King novel was It, and I loved it, and I read it at an age where I shouldn't have read it again.
Crap.
It was like right before the original TV movie came out.
Wait, so you were like what? 12?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, but you know what? Don't worry. You shouldn't feel bad because
Oh, I don't feel bad.
For those who actually read the story, spoiler alert, there's a scene at the end to save yourself to get out of the womb, the underworld. They actually had to have group sex, like 12-year-old kids. So it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, see, it was an interesting thing to read when I'm that age. So there's that. Um, and there's a book by Stephen King called On Writing, and I know it's not a novel, but I love that book. It's a really, really good book.
I love that book too.
Oh,
I love the part where about, oh, you want the inspiration, the muse. It's like a mangy, like that mangy old bitch who is so flea bitten and dirty and diseased, and you're just waiting by the bench, waiting for her to appear like one day, like just like something like that. Do you remember that quote? Yeah.
It comes back to mind now that you've said it. The other thing I liked was the introduction where he told Hansel and Gretel 2 different ways. The super basic no frills way, like who would want to read that?
Yeah.
And then, well, he didn't, I don't think he retold it a second way, but he made it a point to say, there's no character to it. There's no, I thought that was a really good book. I probably want to read it again at some point.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah, I think my favorite. The first book I read from Stephen King was Carrie, and that was when that book. It was like 1 year after the hardcover came out. Then I picked it up, and I read that, and I liked it, and I didn't really find it scary or anything like that. And then they made a movie with it with John Travolta was cast as the Psycho Girl's boyfriend. And he was hot during then. He was doing a series called Welcome Back, Kotter, and that's what launched his career. So this was his entry into movies. And so it was great to see him there, just playing a different character from when we were used to seeing him.
He was really good looking.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was a stud.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was Carrie. And then I read The Stand. I really, really liked that.
So your second book was The Stand? I thought it was Salem's Lot.
Salem's Lot came after The Stand, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did like the Salem's Lot. That just really gripped me inside.
Yeah.
It kept you for me. It kept you on the edge of your seat. But my favorite is the Dark Tower, right? And there's another book he wrote to go along with that series called "The Wind Through the Keyhole" or something like that, which was another a good novel to read. So I like that whole series. They're going to be coming out with a television series soon. I don't think they've casted the people yet, but hopefully it'll be better than the movie. Yeah. All right, so we got a bid from Murdoch on 110. Is on which piece is that, Murdoch? Is it on the Catwoman or is that on the She Punisher? If he can clear that up for us. And let's see.
I need to read The Stand.
Oh, for me, my first book was The Stand. And it was because I was visiting, I was in college and I was visiting this, one of my guy friends' house, and he had his nanny there. And the nanny's like, I read this book so many times. You should try to read it. It's good. Yeah. And it was this thick ass book, like this thick. And I'm thinking, oh God, this sounds boring. And I read it only because that book, the old one, actually had Bernie Wrightson's illustrations in between.
That's right.
And that was just for the illustrations to look. I was reading the book. And I was like, and it's about disease and outbreak and all that. And I happened to catch the flu, and I was reading it, and I felt like crap. So yes. And then there was my first introduction to anal sex because they were having anal sex there. And I'm thinking, what the Christ? This is like so sick. But yes.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of sex scenes in there. And
like a lot of perverted, like perversion.
It wasn't, I don't think it was thrown in there just to have it. There was a reason
because she had to be a virgin. She had to but she still wanted to have sex. So she accepted, okay. Am I allowed to say this? But okay, sorry. Let's drop the subject. Yes.
You guys are good. We're past the first 10 minutes, so you can talk about whatever you want.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Is that how that works?
Thank you.
110 for the Catwoman. Okay, we got a bit of 110 for the Catwoman.
Nice.
Mog's
Oh.
sheet publisher stands at 100, so we're looking for bids on that as well. So
Has anyone said whether they want this inked or just pencil?
yeah, if you want it inked, go ahead and say your piece. And if you haven't already, and JD can put it up the form. If you are placing a bid, if you can fill out this form, so that way we can get your information and complete the transaction properly.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Thanks,
Phil.
Nick, for reminding us. Everybody, if you can hit that thumbs up button, that will help us out a lot. When you're on the experience, you want to make sure you do that for all the shows that we have here, and you can get that schedule on the homepage to see all the wonderful shows that we have here on the experience.
Yeah.
Can you not get the stand anymore with Bernie's stuff?
I don't think so. Yeah. The newer ones, I don't think it's in there anymore.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
thank
if
you,
you
Nick.
can find that book with his illustrations in it, I'm sure it'll be worth having.
Well, I mean, if
You too, Nick. Thanks for your
yes,
support.
thank you so much, Nick.
You
You are an inspiration.
We were on Nick's show. Mog was on Nick's
Yeah.
show last week, Friday, and it was a really fun show to be on.
Mm.
And she'll probably be returning there at some point in the future.
Mhm.
I don't know, in about a couple months or so.
Hi, Nick.
Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about the writing side. So when you decided to write, Philip, how did you because you're not trained and you're trying to do this writing thing. Was it easy for you to start, or how did that come about?
I mean, I just enjoyed doing it when I was a kid.
Oh.
And I never stopped making stuff up. And then,
Mhm.
You learn the rules of, in my case, English, grammar, and all the rules. And then, I loved fiction growing up. So I don't know, I liked making stuff up, and it was fun to write it down.
What? Wait, were you in like an ESL class or something?
No.
Okay.
So but you haven't taken any writing classes at all? Or maybe creative writing or something?
I mean,
that?
no, I never elected to take any creative writing after high school, but in high school there were certain electives that you take, or they're part of the program. I went to a high school with it wasn't like an AP course or anything, but I think it was kind of like one of those elevated courses where these are the kids who had back problems because they had so many books, and these are the nerdy kids. And so there were a couple creative classes that we took in there, and my essays were always creative because I didn't want to write normal academic essays, even though as an adult I do enjoy sometimes writing an academic essay. I wanted to be the weird kid who wrote my essays like it was fiction. I just enjoyed making stuff up.
Okay.
So I found writing to be easy.
All right. So along the way, you're learning how to do timing, pacing, tension, and all that.
Yeah, a lot of that does come through, for lack of a better word, osmosis. You never. I think also because I was kind of I can't say that I attributed this to any one source, but at some point, yeah, you do think about the structure of a story when you're writing. You can't just write a story and not have a beginning, middle, and end. You can't just meander. If you're going to meander, then it needs to hit certain apexes, and it needs to lead you somewhere, and then it needs to funnel towards what hopefully will be a climax towards the end of the story, whether it's part of a larger story or a self-contained story. 3 or 4 acts is pretty standard. And I just kind of picked it up. And I'm the type of person that I intellectualize everything. I overthink everything. So, as fun as something might be, I'm also looking at a movie or reading a book and thinking, this is the climax here, and thinking about pacing. And um, and when it comes to visual storytelling, um, like say comics, I paid a lot of attention to the mechanics of visual storytelling. So, and doing a picture book is very different because it's sequential, but it's not single page sequential or double page spread sequential. It's not panelized. So, trying to pace out a picture book was a whole lot different because I didn't want it to be flat, even though, when you're reading a story poem, it is kind of flat only because it's metered. This is just my opinion of it. Like when I read a poem, the climax of the content doesn't necessarily match the climax of the meter because the meter is consistent.
Yeah.
So trying to find a way to make a climax in a picture book was challenging. Whereas in a comic, which is a whole other beast, I really studied comic mechanics like in high school and college, just on my own, just because it was fun. And actually, when Understanding Comics came out, I was really pissed. I was so pissed off at Scott McCloud because that was the book that I wanted to write. That was 1994, and I was in Boston.
Okay.
I think it was Boston. It was 1994, and it was in Boston because I was marching drum corps, and we had a free day. So me and one of my a friend from the corps, we were running around Boston. And we came across a bookstore, and I saw that Understanding Comics had come out, and it was on the bookshelf. And so you know what? I'm going to buy it. This is going to be my souvenir from Boston. And, we got on the bus and I was reading it. And I was so pissed off that he wrote that. And I was a kid. I had no career in comics. I had, I wasn't a professional. I was an arrogant high school kid. I was I was a jerk. But I was still pissed off that Scott McCloud did, what he was meant to do before me. Even, he was a professional.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know who this guy was. It's like, he got to it first.
You know what? I love that book. Right. That book is actually my Bible. Okay. Because that's one thing it's one thing to write, but then it's also another thing when you've got to do sequential pages. And Scott McCloud breaks it down so very easy to follow, right? And how you can tell your pages through panels, sequential pages, and what you need to do to lay it out, and how you can utilize everything there to help illustrate the story, including the frames of your panel, right? Which a lot of people don't understand or get, right? And understand the flow of the panels and how to get people to get off that page to the next page. Okay, so I just want to get back to also Stevie B is writing. I almost feel like the She Punisher is like a rear view of the Baroness piece I was lucky enough to get from your first show.
Is that you, Steve?
That's Stevie B.
Oh my God.
Okay. And you're right, Stevie, because this piece would look great next to that Baroness. They're both in these dark costumes, and the characters do have that same kind of feel. Now, JD, it's great to have also a director who can look some of these things up, because he's letting us know that you can get the stand online for $25 to $35, which has the illustrations in there. Right? I'm gonna have to check that out later myself.
That's
okay,
awesome.
so and on that note, we do have to pay tribute to our commercial breaks here. But we have Mog's piece is at $100 for the She Punisher, and Phillip's Catwoman blank cover there is at $110. We are accepting bids of in increments of $5. So if you want to place a bid, you can go ahead and say so right here in the comments. And we will be right back on the Sketch Up. You're watching this on The Experience. We'll be right back.
All right.
Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find the link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Did you know that across America there are over 2, maybe even 3 live stream producers who can't even afford Mountain Dew? Take Brian here. Brian has gone 2 weeks without a sip of Red Bull. If it goes on much longer, he may take a shower and get a real job. Situations like this are as tragic as they are preventable. Join the experience on YouTube and gain access to special emojis and members-only streams. For less than a cup of coffee, you can keep socially awkward hermit people working from their parents' basements where they belong. Scan the QR code on the screen to join. You'll be glad you did.
Programming on the EXP is made possible by viewers like you, or your local comic shop, or that Kickstarter you backed, or the publisher you like, or comic industry professionals who want to share a message with the world. Really, anyone who wants to advertise with us can. If you're interested in seeing a product you know and love, or are creating, or are publishing, or are involved with, advertised here on The Experience, and having your message shared with our viewers, please reach out by scanning the QR code below or visiting our website and using the contact form.
Hi, you guys are muted.
Let's
Phillip
start that
Ginn.
over. Welcome back to SketchUp on the Experience. You're watching Mog and Mel. That's
Yes.
Mog, and I'm Mel. And our special guest is Phillip Ginn.
Gin.
Oh, Gin. Gin. I'm sorry.
Like, you know, gin. Like, you love
right.
gin? Just think of it that way, you know?
Do you like gin, Mel?
No.
I do like gin.
There you go.
My favorite. I do like gin. I like drinking that with mixing it with Mountain Dew. That was my drink actually.
Really?
After my college days. I drank that for years. Right. My favorite thing to do on the weekend was I'd be grilling like a steak, flank steak, and I would have that big bottle of gin on the table with mixing it with some cold Mountain Dew.
All right.
Really? Does it taste good?
Yeah, I did. It was a good mix for me. I like that. I haven't had it in a while, but yeah, I did like it.
I want to try gin now.
What's your gin of choice? Do you have
Isn't there like something called Tanqueray or something?
Tanqueray? Okay.
Yeah, that was my fight. Yeah. Do you like gin, Phil?
I do on occasion. I like a good gin and tonic in the summer. I don't buy it very often. When I do, I think I typically buy like Seagram.
Okay. All right. I just saw that. Thanks, Stevie, for that bid. So he's got a bid to match his Baroness, the 110 on the sheep finisher.
Thank you for the support, guys, and thank you for supporting Phil.
And
yeah, thank you guys.
And Philip's got his at 110 as well by We're Upstein, I believe. And so yeah, so if anybody wants to place a hard bid, we are accepting those at $5 increments. Okay. So yeah, so we talked about art.
Oh, can I ask, segueing to what we were talking about, how he says on writing, like you need some kind of structure, like Phil said that.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, do you kind of agree with this quote then that order is a gateway to creativity?
Um,
Is that too deep? Are we allowed to do
no, I, I can see, I personally say something similar. I replace the word order with boundaries. I think that when there are boundaries set, um, you are forced to be creative.
that? Hmm.
Um, and so, if that's what you mean by order, then yeah, I agree with that. Like I think it's very possible to be creative, you know, without any rules. You can do whatever you want, but it's a different type of creative. That's kind of like more whimsy. That's more like I can do whatever I want and I can improvise and just go wherever I want, and that is creative. But
Yeah.
the type of creative that I enjoy is using um, using the parameters that I'm given.
Yeah.
Comics is a very
I agree.
specific medium. Drawing is a very specific medium. Painting is a specific
Mhm.
medium. And while there is some overlap, I wouldn't pace out a picture book, and I didn't. I couldn't pace out a picture book in the same way that I would a comic.
Yeah.
And I can't, you know, I can't write a prose story in the same way that I would a comic either. There are some overlap, sure, but if I'm going to write a play versus a film versus a comic, the way that timing works, the way that pacing works, the way that movement, the execution of it is so different. So each one has its own set of parameters. In film, you have sound and motion, and um, the audience passively takes in, and therefore everything that needs to be delivered needs to be clear. Even if what you're trying to deliver to the audience is meant to be unclear, that lack of clarity needs to be clear, if that makes any sense. Comics is supposed to be completely static and silent. And so, those boundaries, I like solving those problems. And I like using the boundaries to define what it is that I'm doing. Like right now, I'm doing a pencil sketch, and
Yes.
I originally meant to keep this in as pencil, but ink is like is my main medium.
Yeah. Then do it.
I'm penciling it in a way that I wouldn't pencil for myself if I was going to ink it. I'm shading and drawing in a way that I wouldn't be doing if uh, I was going to ink it. So I'm trying to use the pencil to my advantage. But of course, if I do ink it, it's going to get a certain kind of treatment because I would know how to approach something like this. But my first thought is if I leave this in pencil, it needs to be good in pencil. So there's certain things that I'm doing here that I might do differently in ink. I like those parameters.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nerd part of me.
Because I read this quote today by David Allen, and he said, "It's hard to be fully creative without structure and constraint." So if you try to paint without a canvas, creativity and try to paint without a canvas, creativity and freedom are two sides of the same coin. I like the best of both worlds. Do you want freedom? Get organized. Do you want to get organized? Get creative. Well, that was his quote. But I was thinking his definition of creativity seems a bit more like productivity. It doesn't feel like that kind of other creative side. I don't know. But so there's a degree that I do agree with that the order is a gateway to creativity, but in the same token, not entirely. For me, I'm similar to you where I think the mother of creativity is necessity. Like
Yeah.
limitations and necessity is what sparks creativity because it's a form of problem solving, really.
Yes, and that's what I like about it. I can agree. I agree with what it. Yeah, it does sound like it. It does sound like something would say, um, um, if trying to help somebody with their productivity.
Yeah.
Which is true. I could use the help, but yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good assessment.
Yeah. So I looked this guy up, this David Allen. It's like, okay, why are you saying this? It sounds a little like too much like productivity. And he's the guy who formed. He goes by something called GTD, getting things done.
Oh,
But yes,
You're right, Murdoch. It's you can't create a world without rules. Even crazy worlds need rules,
yeah.
right? Rules are made so that way we can break them, and then we know that we're having fun.
Huh? Isn't rules are made to not break them?
Rules are made so they can be broken, or else we would never know when
No,
we were
rules are
having
not
fun.
meant to be broken. That's why there's a law and all that stuff, and there's consequences. It's like,
I'm also with you, Murdoch. I like the pencils too.
Okay.
I've always been that way. I just like it raw like that.
raw. Okay, did you mean it that way? I'm sorry.
No,
sorry.
but now that you laughed, everybody knows. So you just blew your cover. I can't help you there. And Murdoch writes, Terry Pratchett's "This world is crazy as all get out, but it still has its rules."
Oh my God, I love Terry Pratchett.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mom can talk Terry Pratchett all day long.
don't get me.
And she can get very emo about it too.
Freaking love Terry Pratchett.
And that's why she's doing a booty sheep Punisher,
Yeah.
of all things.
No, it's
I have to admit though, that booty is looking good.
it's on fire. Look at this. The ass.
I wouldn't.
This girl's
love
on
it like
fire.
that.
it's a very reflective booty.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if Stevie B wants that going on with his girl.
His girl.
And so, Philip, what shows have you got coming up? Where are you going to be? Where can people?
So
find you?
first
Through the
trimester
group.
this year, I have Atlanta Comic Con at the end of February. Then I have SACCon in March, WonderCon in March, and then Vegas at the end of April. I'm doing Phoenix in June.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting to see if I get into Fan Expo Denver or AwesomeCon for June.
Okay.
And then at the end of the year, I hopefully won't have too much of a problem getting in because I usually get in, but there would be Silicon Valley, Rose City Comic Con, and LA Comic Con.
So okay, interesting. So you're still going to do Silicon Valley, huh?
It's local-ish, you know.
Mhm.
It's
That's
not.
right.
It hasn't been a great show, unfortunately. Like it was when I first did the show. I think it was 2018. But you know, times are different, and I'm trying to give them the benefit of like trying to figure things out, how to navigate. You know, where we're at.
Yeah.
Pandemic wise.
Yeah. Well, the area is nice. I do like San Jose there. It is nice. But we'll see you in WonderCon.
Yeah.
And then we'll see you also for Vegas. Actually, everybody else can come see us in Vegas. Philip we'll be hanging out a lot with Philip during then, since we are rooming together out in Vegas.
So we need booze and food. Booze and food. We need.
No. If we're working, I don't drink. I only drink after work. Like so Sunday.
Well, that's her rules that she tries to live by.
I don't follow those rules.
Does not mean that they can't be broken.
Oh.
I don't follow those rules. However, if I pick up a weekend commission where I need to turn it in like the next day, then yeah, I probably won't have more than a beer. I've got to draw that night. But if I'm not taken back to the housing any con commissions, I'm free to eat and drink whatever I want.
Okay. So we're at Penstein is asking, do you bring pre-made art to the cons or just do commissions? What do you do, Philip?
So at cons, I sell both prints and originals, and some books. I print everything at home on this printer behind me. I don't even know if you can see it, but I print everything at home so I can quality check it myself, and I buy good paper, and I offer those. I have a lot less recent original art than I used to, because I've actually been very fortunate to have sold a bunch of pieces, which puts the pressure on me to create some new stuff for the upcoming season. I have some old stuff that I just can't get rid of because everyone will see my new stuff and that's what they want, and then they'll look at my old stuff and they're like, "Oh, that's really cool," and then they'll, just fine.
It's like if they don't see it for a while, they think, like it's brand new. Mog will, to answer for Mog, she will be bringing art pieces there that are ready to purchase.
Oh.
There are some bigger pieces that she also has. She does commissions as well on blank covers or whatever size.
Really?
She will do pieces up to 18 by 24, and actually we just took one that was even bigger than that, 24 by 36.
I think it's like 4x3.
Yeah, it's
Or
a
4 by 2.
3 by 4 if you're going by
Yeah.
feet. 24, no, 2 by 3 if you're going by feet. Okay, but 24 by 36 is a poster size. Thank you for that bid on Sheep Punisher, bringing that up to 125.
Stevie said it almost feels like she's begging for a tattoo there.
Oh yeah.
But what would she go with?
What would
I don't know, like a
Sheep
skull?
Punisher go with as a
Oh.
tat of choice? Huh.
I'm thinking skull. Really, right?
Actually, I'm thinking teddy bear. She's got to show something on the feminine side of her.
Well, how does the enemies take her seriously then?
Actually, that's kind of a joke. Okay, so I used to play paintball back in the 80s. I was actually co-captain of a semi-pro team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our team was called Team what was it? S&M, right? And it didn't mean what you would think it would mean. And people would ask us, well, what is that for? And that was we just told them that M&M stand for, it's like M&Ms but with shit on it. So, but we wore like these pink shirts, right? And so people didn't take us like seriously. But the thing was that we played seriously.
Okay.
So in a way, it's kind of like a ruse to make you feel like, oh man, you're doing that, and so you must not be that good. So so again, so Sheep Punisher could have like a cute little teddy bear, even a smiley face. Thank you, Stevie B, for bringing that bid up on the Sheep Punisher to 130.
Mm-hmm.
Sheep Punisher at 130, and Catwoman, I believe, is still at 110. Okay, so go ahead, come on, guys, go ahead and bid that up. Make it worthwhile for these artists. They're working pretty hard here.
Oh, JD, that's a very good question. It's actually a kitty cat, and let me explain to you guys. So it's actually my name. We designed it like the logo.
Yeah, this is something that we designed
it's
early
like
on.
This is the M, and that's the O, and that's the G. Became a kitty. That's my name,
And then we
Mog.
put the two eyes on there, and there you go.
Yeah, M-O-G.
Yeah, that one kind of looks like a ghost kitty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is her iconic signature.
It's a Mog. Yes, literally a Mog.
That's so cool. I thought it was just a cute little kitty cat. Now I know.
That's what everybody thinks. Now you know the story.
Yeah.
So we're spreading
That's
that word
cool.
around.
So I signed the artwork with the emoji, my name, like that. So.
Yeah. So when you see that on hers, then that's her work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Everybody recognizes her signature, and the word gets around. Guys talking. What can we say? Mm-hmm. So then when you see us at the shows as well, we have this neon glowing cat. It doesn't look like her signature, but I'm working on trying to find a guy that can actually do it. I think I found somebody. I just got to reach out to him again to try and get that done. and see if we can hook up like a power supply to it, so that way we can light it up during the shows. Yeah. But it's amazing, like how many people will come up and ask us, "How much is that kitty?"
Can't have it.
I kid you not.
Yeah.
Every show there is somebody that asks, "How much is that kitty?"
Yeah.
I want to go, which kitty are you talking about? But anyway, we're at 8:50 here before we take our leave here. Phillip, once again, Phillip, where can they get this comic book? How
Yes.
much is it? How soon can they get it?
Exactly.
So it's a picture book. The comic's next. We haven't talked about that, and that's next. But the picture book is 20. It's normally 25. It's on pre-order for 20 on my site.
Yeah.
My site, phillipginn.com, 2 L's, 2 N's, phillipginn.com will take you to my Instagram, my shop, and my shop will, you go to the book section and you'll have the pre-order for the book. Pre-orders come with, I'm going to sign each book for the pre-orders, do a little sketch inside of either the monster or one of the kids. And it will come with a print that I don't print anywhere else. It's an early character study of the kids and the monster, and I love the piece. And actually the interior covers, the front and back inside covers are I cut out of the kids from that drawing. So and then the book will come signed with the sketch and the print, and I'm gonna take my little Chinese chop and stamp all the prints. So those were gonna march probably after March 1st.
March 1st.
Yeah, because I got so when the books come in, if I can fill the pre-orders before I leave for Atlanta, great. But Atlanta's the Comic-Con is right at the end of February, so I'll be sure to communicate with everybody about like when the books come in and when I can get to them.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm sorry to break in. Was this the correct picture you're talking about, the print?
No, that's actually that was a recent private commission of Cain and Abel and the House of Mystery and Secrets.
Wow.
That was really fun to do.
I like that. Yeah.
I love
That was really fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real throwback on there. Hey, Phil, save me a copy. Take it off my bill.
Okay, I'll save you a copy.
I'm gonna have to
we'll
buy
probably
it.
exchange during like
Yeah.
WonderCon.
Please, Phil. Like I had to get it for my concubine here.
Yeah.
Concubine.
Whatever she wants to come in. I'm not going to complain. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to touch that one.
Right, so once again, Mog's She Punisher is at 1:30. Phillip's Catwoman is at 1:10. And so you still got like a few minutes to place bids if you want to take this home.
Yes.
Both the characters are showing booty. So
yes.
if you want to catch that.
There's a tight one.
Just booty.
Ooh.
That one's showing a big booty there.
That's a luscious one.
Yeah, I don't know how she runs around the city with a booty like this, but
luscious.
I figure, Bruce Wayne knows what he likes.
Well, yeah, when she's climbing up that wall, on her rappelling rope and stuff, she's got to be good looking up.
Yeah.
Right up on her bunch.
Yeah.
Nice one. Nice one.
Get that nice form and definition.
Yeah, this one. But I think one of the guy, I forgot who it was, talked about Terry Pratchett, like two characters, Angua and Adorabelle.
And Adorabelle.
Oh my God, Angua and Adorabelle.
Yeah. So those are topics that we can probably bring up at some point in time.
For those who don't know Angua, she's like the female werewolf. So very sexy, very beautiful.
Speaking of werewolves, don't forget that you can pick up Mog's current book where she is the interior art on Snowpod. That's with KG Comics.
Number 2.
And if you haven't picked that up, let us know. You can order that from...
No, it's Lone Wolf Comics, not KG.
Oh, yeah, from Lone Wolf Comics. If you haven't picked that up, send Mog a message, and we'll tell you how to hook you up with those. Get out on the action while you still can.
Cool.
Along with Cubs, there you go. Thanks, JD. It's great to have a director like that who can pull that
I
information
know.
up. Yeah.
JD, you're amazing.
Okay.
You're amazing, JD.
That's what we need to tip him. We're gonna throw like money at him, like
Yeah. Don't be shy, folks. Go ahead and send
Go ahead,
JD,
tip JD.
some tips.
yes.
He's doing an amazing job here for us. Next week, we're going to have Fabrice Sapolsky. He is the writer-creator of Spider-Man Noir. He has his own publishing company. He's got several projects that he's going to be talking about. He just moved back to New York. He was here in LA for a few years and decided that it'd be best to go back to his roots, to New York, and continue his career there, publishing and putting out comics on his own.
I feel like if you like to be in the smack dab of middle, like New York urban city type of city, you really don't mind like being social and stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Because for me, I can't. I'll be like totally like drained.
No, we haven't been to New York yet, except for like stopping in the in JFK to get a connecting flight, and that's about it. So I don't know. Eventually, we'd like to go. We'd like to go there. We don't try to do the big cons. We feel that we're getting enough action at the other cons beneath those. The only one that we've been to so far is the San Diego Comic-Con, only because that's in our backyard. We're not. We don't have professional status there, so usually somebody brings us in. Not in a rush to get into that show.
Wait. Did Alpenstein give a tip to to JD? Yay! JD can buy those 99 cents pet bottle Coke. Then he can chug it. Thank you so much. JD can finally get his caffeine working in his body.
Yeah, Murdoch. Where are you, Murdoch?
I love the name Murdoch. It's because of Daredevil. Every time I was like Murdoch. What a romantic name.
Really? When I think of Murdoch, I think of the A-Team.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's the also the
A-Team. What's that?
There's also the what do you call that? There's another Murdoch. Forgot his name, but he buys up a lot of properties. When Marvel was down,
Rupert.
When Marvel stock was down to like about $2, he actually bought it.
Rupert Murdoch.
Bring it up.
No, I think Phil was trying to say something. What were you saying, Phil?
I think. Are you thinking about Rupert Murdoch?
Yes, Rupert Murdoch. There you go. That's the guy.
No, you got to introduce her to the A-Team.
Oh man, that was a fun show.
What the heck is the A-Team, Mel?
A-Team starred. Had a great cast of actors on that show. God, I'm not sure how to describe it anymore. It's been a while.
It was George Peppard, right? George Peppard,
Pepper,
Benedict,
Dwight
Schultz, and Mr. T.
Yeah, and Mr. T. Yeah.
Okay, but what's it about? Why is it called A-Team?
It's about a Vietnamese a Vietnam War special ops unit that was tried for a war crime that they didn't commit, and they escaped, and they become mercenaries, and it's hilarious.
It's a comedy?
No, it's not. It turns out to be a comedy. But the cool thing is that the character that Mr. T played, he didn't like flying. Right.
No,
they always have to
so they
knock him out
to get on a plane.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this sounds so amazing. I have to watch this. It's still wanted by the government.
Yeah. It was a fun show.
This is actually very serious.
Yeah. No. It was a fun show to watch. It was kind of like almost like a Mission Impossible kind of a series. So that was great to watch. Anyway, folks, it's 9 o'clock.
Oh my
Thanks
gosh.
again for joining us
Woohoo!
on this
So who's the winner?
Thursday evening. We have
Booty call.
CVB, I believe, got the Sheep Punisher for 130.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry.
And
yeah.
what's that? Where Pistine, I believe.
Who won the?
Got the Catwoman for 110. So thank you guys for all that.
Congrats!
Be sure to fill that
You're the
form
winner.
out. That will be contacting you. And once again, you're watching SketchUp with Mog and Mel on the Experience, and there are the high bidders.
Woo-hoo! Thank you, Stevie.
Yeah, you better check up on that
Thank you.
Sheep Punisher, JD. It was at 130, I believe. Anyway, thank you all for coming again.
Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find the link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP.